Before you change your life, you must understand one powerful truth. Your life will never rise above the level of your mind. Every achievement, every failure, every breakthrough, and every limitation begins as a thought planted inside you. The reason some people keep moving forward while others remain trapped in the same struggles is not because they have a different world. It is because they have a different internal program. Your mind is constantly being trained. Every experience, every word you hear, every belief you accept is shaping the person you become. And if you are not consciously programming your mind, the world is programming it for you. The fears you carry, the doubts you repeat, and the stories you tell yourself may not be the truth. They may simply be old patterns that have been running your life for years. But what if you could break those patterns? What if you could erase the limits you placed on yourself? What if the person you have always wanted to become was already inside you, waiting for the right mindset to unlock it? Today is the day you stop living on autopilot. Today you take control of your thoughts, your emotions, and your future. Because when you reprogram your mind for success, you don't just change what you do, you change who you are. Your mind is the most powerful force you will ever possess. Before you can change your circumstances, before you can build the success you dream about, before you can create a life that inspires you, you must first understand the place where everything begins, your mind. Everything you see around you started as an idea. Every invention, every achievement, every great transformation began with a thought. A person first imagined something before they built it. A person first believed something was possible before they achieved it. The life you are living today is the result of the thoughts, beliefs, and decisions you have repeated over time. Your mind is not just a place where thoughts happen. Your mind is a blueprint. It is the control center that determines what you believe you deserve, what risks you are willing to take, what challenges you are willing to face, and what actions you are willing to commit to. The quality of your life is connected to the quality of your programming. Think about this. Two people can face the exact same situation, the same obstacle, the same failure, and yet they respond completely differently. One person sees a problem and says, "This is impossible. I can't do this." Another person sees the same problem and says, "This is difficult, but I will find a way." The difference is not always talent. It is not always opportunity. It is the meaning they give to the moment. It is the story they have trained their mind to believe. For years, many people unknowingly allow their past experiences to become the limits of their future. A failure becomes an identity. A mistake becomes a permanent label. A rejection becomes proof that they are not capable. But your past is not a prediction of your future. It is simply a collection of experiences that taught your mind certain patterns. The incredible truth is that patterns can be changed. Your brain is constantly adapting. Every time you think a thought, repeat a belief, or take an action, you strengthen a pathway in your mind. The thoughts you repeat the most become the thoughts you naturally return to. If you constantly focus on fear, your mind becomes trained to search for danger. If you constantly focus on possibilities, growth, and solutions, your mind becomes trained to search for opportunities. You are not a prisoner of old programming. You are the person capable of creating new programming. But many people wait for their life to change before they change their mind. They say, "When I become successful, I will become confident. When I have more money, I will feel secure. When things get easier, I will believe in myself." But success does not work that way. The internal transformation comes first. The person you become creates the results you achieve. You must begin seeing yourself differently. You must stop identifying with your limitations and start identifying with your potential. The moment you change the image you hold of yourself, you begin changing the actions you take. A person who believes they are weak will avoid challenges. A person who believes they are growing will seek challenges. A person who believes they are not enough will constantly look for approval. A person who believes they have value will move with confidence. Your identity controls your decisions. Your decisions create your habits. Your habits create your results. So ask yourself, what have you been telling yourself every day? What conversations are happening inside your mind when nobody else is listening? Are those thoughts building the future you want, or are they keeping you connected to an old version of yourself? Because the voice inside your head can either become your greatest supporter or your greatest obstacle. Every morning, you have a choice. You can wake up and allow old fears, old doubts, and old expectations to control you. Or you can wake up and decide that today you are going to think differently, act differently, and become someone stronger. You do not need to have everything figured out before you begin. You do not need to be fearless before you move forward. You only need to make the decision that your mind will no longer be controlled by limitations that you did not choose. The greatest transformation begins when you realize that your reality is not only shaped by what happens to you, it is shaped by how you train your mind to respond. Change your thoughts, and you begin changing your world. The moment you begin to understand the power of your mind, you face a truth that can completely change your life. Many of the limits holding you back are not real limits. They are beliefs you have accepted as reality. There are invisible walls that people carry every single day. They are not built from concrete or steel. They are built from fear, doubt, past experiences, and the words they have repeated to themselves for years. These walls become so familiar that people stop questioning them. They start saying, "This is just who I am," without realizing that the person they have become was shaped by patterns they can change. You were not born believing you were incapable. You were not born afraid of failure. You were not born thinking that success was only for certain people. These ideas were collected along the journey. They came from experiences, from the environment around you, from moments where something happened and your mind created a meaning from it. But here is where your power begins. If you learned those beliefs, you can unlearn them. If you created those patterns, you can create new ones. Many people are not stopped by what they lack. They are stopped by what they believe. They have the ability, the potential, and the opportunity in front of them, but an old belief whispers, "You are not ready." Another voice says, "What if you fail?" Another says, "People like you don't achieve things like that." And because they hear those voices repeatedly, they mistake them for truth. But a thought is not a fact. A fear is not a prophecy. A past experience is not a permanent identity. You must learn to challenge the stories that have been controlling your decisions. Because every time you say, "I can't," your mind looks for evidence to support that belief. Every time you say, "I'm not good enough," your mind starts noticing every moment that appears to confirm it. The mind is powerful because it searches for what you focus on. If you focus on limitations, you will find limitations. If you focus on opportunities, you will begin seeing possibilities that were always there. Think about how many times you have underestimated yourself. How many times did you avoid taking action because you were afraid of an outcome that never extended? How many opportunities passed by because you were waiting to feel completely confident before you started? The truth is, confidence is not something you find before action. Confidence is something you build through action. Every time you face a fear, every time you step outside your comfort zone, every time you prove to yourself that you can do something difficult, you rewrite the story inside your mind. The old version of you says, "Stay safe. Don't risk anything. Don't change." The stronger version of you says, "Growth requires courage. The future requires a new version of me." You cannot build a powerful future while protecting an old identity that was created from fear. Look at the people who achieve extraordinary things. They are not people who never experienced doubt. They are not people who never faced rejection. They are not people who never failed. They are people who refuse to allow those moments to define them. They understood that failure was not a final destination. It was feedback. They understood that rejection was not a statement about their worth. It was simply a moment that required them to adjust and continue. The difference between someone who succeeds and someone who stays stuck is often the meaning they attach to their experiences. One person loses and says, "I am a failure." Another person loses and says, "I learned something valuable." One person faces a challenge and says, "This proves I cannot do it." Another person faces the same challenge and says, "This is the moment where I grow." Your mind listens to the language you use. The words you speak to yourself become instructions. If you constantly speak from weakness, your actions will follow weakness. If you speak from strength, possibility, and determination, your actions begin to change. This does not mean pretending everything is easy. It means choosing a stronger perspective. It means recognizing that challenges are not there to destroy you. They are opportunities to discover what you are truly capable of. You must stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "Who can I become because of this?" That single shift changes everything, because the person who takes control of their beliefs takes control of their future. You do not have to carry every fear you inherited. You do not have to continue every pattern you learned. You have the ability to choose new thoughts, new standards, and a new direction. The past may have influenced you, but it does not have permission to control where you go next. Your future begins when you stop believing every limitation your old mind created. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the world around you. It is the battle within yourself. Every day you are experiencing emotions, thoughts, and reactions that influence the choices you make. And if you do not learn how to control your emotional state, your emotions will quietly control the direction of your life. Your emotions are powerful. They can lift you higher than you ever imagined, or they can keep you trapped in places you no longer belong. A single moment of fear can stop someone from taking the opportunity that could change their life. A single moment of doubt can convince someone to quit right before their breakthrough. A single negative thought can create a chain reaction that affects an entire day. But here is the truth you must understand. Emotions are not your enemy. They are signals. They are messages. They are energy that you can learn to direct. The problem is not that you feel fear, anger, frustration, or uncertainty. Every person experiences those emotions. The difference between people who grow and people who remain stuck is not the absence of just negative emotions. The difference is how they respond when those emotions appear. A person who has mastered their mind does not say, "I cannot feel fear." They say, "I can feel fear and still move forward." Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that something else matters more than fear. Think about all the times when you allowed a temporary emotion to make a permanent decision. You felt tired, so you gave up. You felt rejected, so you stopped trying. You felt uncertain, so you stayed exactly where you were. But emotions change. They rise and fall like waves. The feeling you have in one moment does not have to determine the future you create. You must become the person who can observe your emotions instead of becoming controlled by them. When frustration appears, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? When fear appears, ask yourself, what action would I take if I believed in myself? When doubt appears, ask yourself, is this the truth, or is this just an old pattern trying to protect me? The moment you start questioning your emotional reactions, you begin taking back your power. Most people live in reaction mode. Something happens, and they immediately respond without thinking. Someone criticizes them, and they lose confidence. A problem appears, and they panic. A setback happens, and they assume everything is falling apart. But successful people learn how to create space between what happens and how they respond. That space is where your power lives. You cannot always control what happens around you. You cannot control every person, every situation, or every unexpected challenge. But you can control the meaning you give those moments. You can control your focus. You can control your response. A storm does not decide whether a tree survives. The strength of the roots decides. Your emotional strength is your root system. If your confidence depends only on things going perfectly, then your confidence will always be fragile. But when you build yourself from the inside, you become stronger than circumstances. You begin to understand that a difficult day does not mean you have a difficult life. A failure does not mean you are a failure. A challenge does not mean you are incapable. It means you are being invited to grow. The strongest people are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who know how to rise again. They have trained their minds to look for solutions instead of problems, possibilities instead of limitations. You can change your emotional state by changing your focus. Where your focus goes, your energy follows. If you constantly focus on everything that is wrong, your mind will create more stress. If you constantly focus on what you lack, you will feel powerless. But when you focus on gratitude, growth, and possibility, you create a completely different internal world. Your body follows your mind. Your actions follow your emotions. Your results follow your actions. This is why your daily emotional habits matter. The way you start your morning matters. The conversations you have with yourself matter. The thoughts you repeat matter. You are constantly training your nervous system. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, confidence over fear, and action over excuses, you are becoming stronger. The goal is not to create a life where you never experience pressure. The goal is to become the kind of person who can handle pressure and still move forward. A diamond is created under pressure. Strength is built through resistance. The challenges you face today may be the very things that prepare you for the future you want tomorrow. So stop giving temporary emotions the power to define your permanent identity. You are not your fear. You are not your doubt. You are not the difficult moments you have experienced. You are the person who chooses what happens next. Master your emotions, and you master the direction of your life. The greatest transformation you will ever experience begins when you stop trying to become someone else, and start creating the strongest version of yourself. Because success is not only about what you achieve, it is about who you become in the process. Many people chase goals while carrying the same identity that created their current situation. They want a better life, but they continue thinking the same thoughts, repeating the same habits, and making decisions from the same old version of themselves. They want different results, but they keep showing up as the same person. And that is where the breakthrough begins. Your life changes when your identity changes. You see, your actions are always connected to the person you believe you are. If deep inside you believe you are someone who gives up easily, your actions will eventually prove that belief. If you believe you are someone who lacks discipline, you will find reasons to avoid difficult tasks. If you believe you are someone who is not capable of success, you will unconsciously create distance between yourself and opportunities. But when you change the way you see yourself, everything starts to shift. The person who believes they are powerful does not wait for permission. The person who believes they are capable does not need perfect conditions. The person who believes they are destined for growth keeps moving even when the path is difficult. Your identity becomes the foundation of your decisions. Think about the difference between someone who says, "I want to become healthy," and someone who says, "I am a person who respects my body." The first person is chasing a goal. The second person is living from an identity. One depends on motivation. The other is built on who they believe they are. The same applies to success, confidence, relationships, and every area of life. You do not create a successful future by only changing your schedule. You create it by changing your standards. You begin asking yourself different questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this so hard?" you ask, "What kind of person can handle this challenge?" Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" you ask, "What will I learn if I try?" Instead of saying, "I am not ready," you say, "I am becoming ready through every step I take." The person you want to become is not created in one giant moment. It is created through thousands of small decisions made every day. Every time you choose discipline instead of comfort, you strengthen that new identity. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust with yourself. Every time you take action despite fear, you prove to your mind that you are stronger than your excuses. This is how transformation happens. Most people underestimate the power of small choices because they are looking for one dramatic moment that changes everything. But your future is not created by one decision. It is created by the decisions you repeat. The way you think in the morning, the way you respond to challenges, the way you speak to yourself, the actions you take when nobody is watching. These are the moments where your identity is built. You must stop waiting to become confident before you act. Act in a way that creates confidence. Stop waiting to become successful before you think like a successful person. Start thinking, behaving, and deciding like the person you are becoming. Your future self is watching every choice you make today. Will you continue feeding the old identity that is comfortable but limited, or will you build the identity that matches the life you truly desire? Because the old version of you will always try to pull you back. It will remind you of past mistakes. It will bring up old fears. It will tell you that change is too difficult. But growth requires you to become someone new. A seed does not become a tree by staying the same. It must break open. It must push through resistance. It must transform into something greater than what it was before. The same is true for you. You are not meant to remain the person shaped only by your past. You are capable of becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more powerful. Create a vision of the person you want to become, and then begin proving to yourself every day that you are moving toward that vision. Your identity is not something you discover. It is something you create. Become the person who naturally creates the life you desire. The moment you understand that your identity shapes your future, you begin to realize another powerful truth. Transformation does not happen through intention alone. It happens through consistent focus, discipline, and action. A new mindset without action remains only a dream. You can have the biggest vision, the strongest desire, and the most powerful beliefs, but if your daily actions do not match the person you want to become, nothing changes. Your mind must be trained, and training requires repetition. Just like a muscle becomes stronger through exercise, your mind becomes stronger through what you repeatedly focus on. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you have. Whatever you focus on grows. Whatever you give energy to becomes stronger in your life. If you constantly focus on problems, your mind becomes a machine that searches for more problems. If you constantly focus on fear, your mind becomes trained to find reasons to avoid growth. But when you train yourself to focus on solutions, possibilities, and progress, your entire approach to life begins to change. This is why successful people protect their focus. They understand that distractions are everywhere. There will always be something competing for your attention. There will always be reasons to delay, excuses to make, and moments when comfort feels easier than commitment. But the person who creates extraordinary results learns to ask a different question. Not what do I feel like doing today, but what does the person I want to become need me to do today? Because motivation is temporary. Feelings change. Energy rises and falls. But discipline is the bridge that carries you forward when emotions are not enough. There will be days when you feel unstoppable. There will be days when you question yourself. The difference is whether you have built the habits that keep you moving even when the excitement disappears. Anyone can take action when everything feels easy. The real transformation happens when you continue during the difficult moments. When you keep going even after a setback. When you stay committed even when nobody notices. When you choose progress over perfection. That is where your future is created. Your mind is constantly receiving messages from your environment, from the people around you, and from the conversations happening inside your own head. If you want a different life, you must become intentional about what you allow into your mind. You cannot expect powerful results while constantly feeding your mind with negativity, doubt, and fear. The thoughts you repeat become the beliefs you carry. The beliefs you carry influence your decisions. Your decisions create your actions. Your actions create your reality. Everything begins with what you choose to focus on. This is why visualization is so powerful. Before you achieve something in the physical world, you must first create a clear picture of it in your mind. You must see yourself becoming the person who already lives with confidence, discipline, and purpose. When you repeatedly imagine yourself taking action, overcoming obstacles, and reaching your goals, you prepare your mind to move in that direction. But visualization alone is not enough. You must combine the vision with action. The person who dreams without moving stays in the same place. The person who moves without vision wastes energy. But when vision and action come together, something powerful happens. You begin creating momentum. Momentum is built through small wins. It comes from waking up and keeping your commitments. It comes from doing the work, even when nobody is watching. It comes from proving to yourself, one decision at a time, that you are becoming stronger. People often look at successful individuals and only see the final result. They see the achievements, the confidence, and the accomplishments. But they do not see the thousands of small choices that created that outcome. Success is not created in one dramatic moment. It is created in ordinary moments where you decide to stay disciplined. Every morning is an opportunity to reinforce your new identity. Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen your mindset. Every setback is an opportunity to practice resilience. You are always becoming someone. The question is, are your daily actions creating the person you want to become or keeping you connected to the person you are trying to leave behind? Your habits are votes for your future identity. Every time you choose learning over excuses, you become wiser. Every time you choose action over fear, you become braver. Every time you choose consistency over comfort, you become unstoppable. You do not need to change everything overnight. You need to change what you repeat every day. Small actions create powerful transformations when they are performed consistently. Your future is not waiting for a perfect moment. It is being built by what you do right now. Train your mind, control your focus, and take action until your new reality becomes impossible to ignore. Everything you have learned so far leads to this final truth. Changing your mind is powerful, but transformation only becomes real when your new mindset creates new results. A new way of thinking must become a new way of living. You can have stronger beliefs. You can control your emotions. You can build a powerful identity. You can train your focus. But the moment of real change comes when you take that inner transformation and turn it into action, because the world does not reward potential. It rewards execution. There are countless people with dreams. There are countless people with ideas. There are countless people who know exactly what they want. But the difference between those who create extraordinary lives and those who remain stuck is the willingness to move. Action is the language of commitment. When you take action, you send a message to your mind that you are serious. You prove to yourself that your goals are not just wishes. They are decisions. And decisions have power. A decision is different from a desire. A desire says, I hope this happens. A decision says, I will find a way. When you truly decide, you stop negotiating with the old version of yourself. You stop looking for reasons to stay comfortable. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You begin creating the moment. Many people underestimate what they can accomplish because they are looking at the entire journey instead of the next step. They see the size of the mountain and become overwhelmed before they even begin. But every great achievement starts with one simple action, one step, one choice, one moment of courage. The person who changes their life is not the person who never struggles. It is the person who keeps moving through the struggle. You must understand that success is not a straight line. There will be obstacles. There will be unexpected challenges. There will be moments when you question yourself. But those moments are not proof that you should stop. They are tests that reveal how committed you truly are. The strongest people are not built in comfort. They are built through challenges. Every time life pushes against you, you have a choice. You can allow the pressure to break you, or you can use that pressure to become stronger. The same fire that destroys one thing can strengthen another. It is not always the situation that determines your outcome. It is the person you become while facing the situation. You must become someone who can handle the success you desire, because your goals will demand a stronger version of you. If you want greater opportunities, you must develop greater discipline. If you want greater results, you must develop greater consistency. If you want a greater future, you must develop a greater mindset. The future you want is waiting for the version of you who is willing to create it. And that means you must stop searching for shortcuts. Real transformation is built through repetition. It is built through showing up when it is inconvenient. It is built through keeping promises you make to yourself. Every small action is shaping your future. The workout you complete, the book you read, the skill you practice, the difficult conversation you finally have, the fear you choose to face. These moments may seem small, but they are creating the person you are becoming. Your life changes when your daily standards change. You cannot expect a powerful future while maintaining weak habits. You cannot expect confidence while constantly avoiding challenges. You cannot expect growth while protecting yourself from every uncomfortable moment. Growth requires expansion. You have to be willing to become uncomfortable because every breakthrough lives beyond your comfort zone. The old version of you will always try to keep you safe. It will tell you to wait. It will tell you that you are not ready. It will remind you of every mistake you have made. But your future is not created by listening to your past. Your future is created by the choices you make today. You have the ability to rewrite your story. You have the ability to create new patterns. You have the ability to become the person you once only imagined. The question is not whether you have potential. You do. The question is whether you are willing to act on it. Because knowledge without action creates